Manly grunts, a teen heartthrob, a mystery neighbor, and of course, Lisa and Heidi. Home Improvement was one of the biggest shows on television in the 90s, pulling in 30 million viewers at its peak. It was funny, relatable, and wholesome. But as it seems to go, the bigger the show, the bigger the backstage drama, and Home Improvement was no exception. Battles over control and money, mind games with young actors, and accusations of betrayal not befitting of the wholesome show we all watched. This is the rise, the drama, and the bitter end of Home Improvement. Before we start, because I'm curious, tell me in the comments if you're on Team Lisa or Team Heidi, and while you're at it, subscribe for more retro TV deep dives. Alright, let's go all the way back to 1990. Tim Allen was a stand-up making a name for himself with his routine centered around being a manly man. This was a far cry from where he was just 12 years earlier, doing hard time in federal prison for drug trafficking. He would have likely done life in jail had he not given up the names of other dealers in exchange for a lighter sentence. Who knew that a guy with a rap sheet like that would become one of America's favorite dads? Yes, there's hope for us all. Anyway, Disney execs caught his Men Are Pigs routine on Showtime, they loved it, and tried to parlay his power tool grunting persona into reboots of popular movies. Allen passed on those dead ends and instead partnered with Roseanne creator Matt Williams to build a custom vehicle around his stand-up. Now, the original title for the project wasn't Home Improvement. The working title for both the series and Tim's fictional show was Hammer Time. Yes, a play on MC Hammer's catchphrase. But ABC said, we can't touch this. By the time they committed to the series, the title was changed to Home Improvement, and after the unaired pilot, they renamed the show within a show Tool Time. They found 3 blonde boys to play his sons, Zachary Ty Bryan as Brad, Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Randy, and Taron Noah Smith as Mark. Earl Hindman would play Wilson, the wise eyes over the fence, and of course Pamela Anderson would play Lisa, the eye candy on Tool Time. But there were a few early cast shakeups. For Tim's wife Jill, they hired Frances Fisher, a serious dramatic actress you probably remember from Titanic. And for Tim's sidekick, they hired veteran character actor Stephen Tobolowsky to play not Al, but a character named Glenn. Neither lasted long. When they screen tested the pilot, the test audience didn't like Frances. She came across as a victim to Tim's antics. She didn't feel like his equal. They needed someone who could go toe-to-toe with them, someone who felt strong, grounded, exasperated, but not defeated. So 3 days into rehearsals, they fired Fisher and brought in Patricia Richardson. Richardson had been working in TV for years. She'd just given birth to twins 9 months earlier and was actually supposed to do another show with ABC later that year. So naturally, she was hesitant to pursue the role, but her agent convinced her to at least read for the part. It turned out very quickly to be the best move of her career. They reshot the pilot, the chemistry with Tim Allen was instant, and just like that, Jill Taylor was recast. As for Stephen Tobolowsky, the actor originally hired to play Tim's sidekick, Glenn, he was unavailable to do the pilot, so they brought in a temporary replacement, Richard Karn. The test audience loved him, Tim Allen loved working with him, and Tobolowsky wanted to do films anyway, so the producers made Karn a permanent cast member. They renamed his character Al Borland, and just like that, one of the most iconic sitcom duos of the 90s was born. Home Improvement premiered on September 17, 1991, and America fell in love. The pilot episode drew 28.2 million viewers. By the end of season 1, Home Improvement was a top 10 show. By the end of season 2, it was ranked 5th. Pamela Anderson would leave after the second season to do Baywatch, being replaced by Debbie Dunning, who played Heidi, but this was a minor hiccup that wouldn't impact ratings. Home Improvement was pulling in 20 to 30 million viewers per episode. And in the process, Tim Allen became a megastar. Now, I don't often take time to reflect on Tim Allen's career, but here we are, and when I look back, he was the guy in the mid-90s. He didn't just have Home Improvement, which was a juggernaut. He had the #1 book, Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man, the #1 movie, The Santa Claus. Then, Toy Story came out in 1995. This man was grunting all the way to the bank. But he wasn't the only Home Improvement star who America fell in love with. If you blow the dust off your old Bop and Teen Beat magazines, you'll be brought back to a time when Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who I will now be calling JTT because his name is a mouthful, was a global phenomenon. And really, all the Taylor sons were stars at the time, but you wouldn't know it by the way they were treated by Disney. As they got older, they, and probably their parents and agents, realized just how much of a pay gap there was between them and the adults, especially Tim Allen. So naturally, they tried to renegotiate. And what Disney did in response was absolutely savage. Apparently, they held fake auditions to replace the kids, which scared the crap out of them and got them to stop complaining. But naturally, there was resentment. There was apparently a lingering us versus them dynamic between the kids and the adults, a tension that simmered for the rest of the series as they became increasingly disillusioned with being treated as second-class replaceable cogs. And eventually, JTT just had enough. By the time season 8 rolled around, he pulled the plug. His character Randy was written off by sending him to Costa Rica for a school environmental program. But here's the controversy. He told producers he was leaving the show to focus on his education, which eventually he did. But Tim Allen got publicly frustrated when JTT, instead of burying his head in the books, was bopping around America promoting his movie, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Allen went to TV Guide and called JTT out, insinuating that he misrepresented his intentions and that when Allen confronted him about it, JTT was none too pleased. But despite all the drama, Home Improvement continued to be a ratings beast. The network wanted a 9th season and made a huge offer to Tim Allen. $2 million an episode, exec producer credit, $50 million total for one season. He jumped at it, but the same couldn't be said for his co-star. Jill only got half the bills. That's right, Richardson was offered half the money. Now, at this point, she was done with the show anyway. She had more than enough cash and wanted to spend more time with her kids. But at the same time, she was insulted by the offer. She hadn't made a third of what Tim Allen earned, even though, according to her, she was a big reason why a lot of women watched the show. So she sent a counteroffer, the exact same comp package as Allen. The network said no. Richardson held firm. She knew the network wouldn't give in, and as she put it, this was her way of giving Disney the finger. No Richardson, no show, and with that, the show wouldn't get its 9th season. And there were some hard feelings on both sides after this. Tim Allen was upset with Richardson because, well, he wanted that $50 million, but Richardson was upset with Allen because he left her alone being the only person saying no to Disney, which essentially made her the bad guy. Adding to the dysfunction was JTT not returning to the series finale, which left both Allen and Richardson feeling betrayed. As she told TV Guide, I think there were a lot of bad feelings all along. I don't think it was a good idea that he didn't show up. After 203 episodes, Home Improvement came to an end on May 25th, 1999. The 3-part finale drew a massive 35.5 million viewers. Despite all the backstage drama, the show just continued to consistently charm America, being a rare example of a show that ended with gas left in the tank. Now, life after Home Improvement for the actors was kind of a mixed bag. Tim Allen continued acting in movies, Galaxy Quest, The Shaggy Dog, Wild Hogs. He reprised his role as Buzz Lightyear for multiple Toy Story sequels. He starred in Last Man Standing for 9 seasons. He remained a household name, one of the biggest stars of his generation, if we're being honest. But Patricia Richardson took a step back. She did a few more TV roles, Strong Medicine, The West Wing, but she's been selective about her work. She instead focused on her family and advocacy work. Richard Karn moved into hosting. He was the host of Family Feud from 2002 to 2006. Taron Noah Smith struggled. He sued his parents at 16, claiming they'd mismanaged his earnings from the show. He married at 17, opened a vegan restaurant, and later dealt with some legal troubles, but today he teaches people how to pilot submarines, which is pretty cool. Zachary Ty Bryan had some small roles, but the wheels really fell off in 2020. He was arrested in relation to a domestic dispute. And Jonathan Taylor Thomas, as we discussed, walked away from Hollywood almost entirely. He did a handful of guest spots and even directed a few episodes of Tim Allen's Last Man Standing, but acting was never his priority. He's living a quiet, private life. Debbie Dunning, who played Heidi, mostly retired from acting, and of course, Earl Hindman, the man behind Wilson, tragically passed away in 2003. To this day, he remains America's favorite neighbor and really the perfect metaphor for the show itself. Just as Wilson gave advice while staying behind the fence for 8 seasons, Home Improvement gave us the laughs while keeping its baggage tucked away. Tim Taylor may have been obsessed with adding more power, but the real power move was keeping us on our side of the yard, blissfully unaware of the cracks in the foundation.